Welcome to the 360 show presented by Fairplay. In Ashes news, the English are back and the Netherlands are headed to India for the World Cup. It's all happening in the cricketing world, so let's hit it.
We're watching a very high-class player.
This is when you know David De Villiers is at his best.
So the third test in the Ashes went England's way. They played some really good cricket, played the key moments really well, I thought, where Australia were dominating those first two test matches with regards to key moments. The English came out on top in the third test match. I've had a lot to say about the Ashes series so far. I found it very entertaining. We've seen a lot of different game plans. We've seen some great captaincy and some great coaching. But let's not hear about me anymore. Let's hear from my really good friend, Shaun Pollock. Polly, thanks for joining us. You must have been watching the Ashes the last while. It's 2-1 in Australia's favour at the moment. What do you think about the standard of cricket? What stands out for you?
Yeah, I think it's been very competitive. I think it was always going to be the litmus test for Bazball to see whether they could continue to play a similar brand and still be successful against one of the better sides, or probably the best test side that is around after they win the test championship. So, yeah, I've been impressed by what I've seen. It's been limited coverage here since I've been in Greece, so I haven't seen much of the third test. I suppose the tactics are the part that's probably surprised me the most. I think batting-wise, the guys would have been hoping to get bigger scores. Your likes of your Roots, your Labuschanes, obviously Steve Smith. They would all been hoping to get some really big hundreds. So the fact that they haven't been able to dominate, the tactics that have been used with all the short pitch bowling, it's almost been a little bit like Bodyline with a kind of tactic being implemented where you don't really have any other option but to try and score in a certain area. But when you try and score there, they've got fielders there and there's that risk of getting out. So I don't think it's been the best viewing, that part of it. I enjoyed the initial parts of it, particularly when there was just a contest of bat and ball. But, we've had 3 results, which I think is important. And I think that last match for England to win it was vital as well, just to keep the series alive and keep the interest going.
We've seen the English do Travid Head straight away. I don't think they pitched the ball up to him this whole series, and it's so weird. He's been scoring runs, and I don't know, Paul. Yeah, so I would like to dig a little bit more into that one. Where does that come from? How much do you believe in that kind of stuff? Short pitch bowling, sticking to it. Surely there's an over or two first that you need to try and nick the guy off and go from there. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think initially you've got to try and use your skills and see if you can get him out. I mean, I think this comes from Neil Wagner, to be totally honest. And I think it's, Brendan McCullum who's actually kind of watched it unfold. With his physique, he's short in stature, he runs in and he kind of hits that short pitch delivery quite often. And the ball doesn't really ping over the top of the batters. So, that the 2 bounces for the over doesn't really come into play as much as, say, for example, if you had a Jofra Archer who's particularly tall. So I think that's where it's kind of come about. I can remember that series where initially he was very successful against England. I think it was 2 tours back. The only experience I've ever had of it, and I don't know if you remember it, we were trying to save a match there in Durban. I think I got run out by a certain David De Villiers while we were trying to save the test match. But do you remember Steve Harmison came around the wicket to us, set a very similar field. And I must admit, batting there at that time, I thought, well, what's my options? I mean, because we were trying to survive, I was just kind of trying to bob and weave, trying to knock a few balls down, trying to leave as many as possible. But if you have to play a sustained period of time in the same fashion, like there wasn't really an option that you were comfortable with. I mean, you almost have to be very good at judging the exact length that the ball's going to get you, because that's maybe the one that you can control, roll the wrists, and maybe try and pick a gap. But it's not something that you've grown up doing. It's not something that a lot of people are comfortable with. And, maybe, 4 or 5 test matches down the line, you'll have a wonderful understanding about which one you go after, which one you don't. If the ball's new, you can maybe try and hit it out the ground rather than trying to roll the wrists. But I think the key to it is that no one really knows or has been successful in playing in that fashion. And therein lies the challenge. but the fact that they stuck to it for so long, yeah, that was the huge surprise for me. To have what I think at one stage was 98% of the deliveries were regarded as short, so that's shorter than 7 meters or 8 meters, whatever the reading is on Hawkeye. Yeah, sustained. And I think from a batting side, you think, well, they'll stop this at some stage. And if they don't, like, what is your plan? I mean, what would you have done?
Yeah, I know, spot on. And I really wanted to talk about it because I went through a few patches like that in my career where they decided to come short at me. And my immediate reaction would be to attack and get them off it. I've never faced a sustained period of short pitch bowling. I think the longest was probably in my last Test series in PE where they decided to come around the wicket, the Aussies, and it probably lasted for about 5 overs, and I was scoring, and therefore they were forced to change, and because it was quite expensive for them. But I could only imagine being a Travis Head, having only faced short pitch bowling for this entire series. Fields are out, the fine leg is there, there's a catching guy around the bat. It must be very uncomfortable and pretty tough. And credit to him for actually finding a way to still keep scoring. I don't think it's very easy when guys know what they're doing with the ball in hand. So it's very interesting, and I think we could talk about this for ages. I think also some bowlers do it really well and some not so much.
I think the other thing that's key is that they've learned where to put the fielders. In our day, we were still too scared to take mid on and mid off away, and we thought, no, we can't do that. You've got to still keep those guys in place. Whereas I've been quite smart about where they've managed to place everyone. And almost, I mean, at one stage, the kind of option was, okay, well, give yourself room and hit it over the offside. Well, they put someone there. Then they put someone square in the offside, square in the leg side. So I think that's been the part where they've given it a lot of thought, and the process as a batter has become more difficult.
Talking about Mark Wood, speed through the air, Polly. Have you been impressed?
Yeah, I was. I mean, I think he would have been chomping to have an opportunity and really showed what he was capable there at Headingley. And I mean, that's the one thing. There's fast bowlers who are big and tall, and you can get underneath, but it's those skiddy-natured ones which can be a real handful. And he's got such good energy. I mean, I think he's coming well rested, and now he goes into this next one. I'm sure he'll play with loads of confidence. So, yeah, I think he'll be the one to watch out. I mean, a lot of the 3 bowlers or 4 bowlers that they used in the series so far are similar in nature, kind of hovering around just over 80. It's that little bit of X factor that Mark Wood brings that I think was the key to how they performed at Headingley. And also the way he wrapped up the tail. Those are important things to do as a faster bowler. And he did that really well.
It's very exciting, and thanks for joining us, Polly. Let's see what happens in the Ashes. You're saying Aussie will come out on top. I think with this momentum that the English picked up, there's a good chance for it to be squared 2-all, and then it's all to play for in that final one. But let's see what happens. It's all to play for. And luckily, we're neutrals. We can call it as we see
it. Should be good.
100%. And happy birthday for the 16th of July. Happy 50th. May there be many more. And thanks for being Shaun Pollock, the legend of all legends. Have a fantastic holiday.
Thanks, Abe. All good.
It was just great to hear from Polly, good friend of mine, and I call myself lucky to have played cricket with him in the past. We're both retired now, and he seems to be in a great place. Very interesting insight from him, talking about the Neil Wagner game plan that sort of influenced Brendan McCullum, who possibly brought it into the English setup. Very nice insight there. And the field placings part I found very interesting because I've faced a lot of short bowling in my life, but never felt really bogged down by this heavy leg side and field placings around the bat as well, catches everywhere. You almost feel like you can't go anywhere. So very interesting from Polly there, and I think he hits the nail on the coffin with some really good information about cricket and the Ashes series. I want to hear from you guys, so please keep commenting on the videos. And I know we've got some questions here, so let's have a look at a few. The first question is from AK Gaming. How much do you rate Ben Stokes as a batsman and bowler? Oh, that's an easy question. AK Gaming, I think he's an incredible cricket player. I think he's got a really sharp cricket brain on his head. You see, if you watched him in that last test match, how calm he was. Actually, all the test matches. I can tell you now, to lose the first 2 test matches in a 5 test match series is very nerve-wracking. And he was always just calm, especially losing in that second one, so close, small margins, and arrive on the 3rd test match, and he looked free. He looked light on his feet. He looked sharp with his head. I know he caught some criticism from the commentators, which I thought was a bit harsh, because it's very easy to give criticism when you're 2-0 down in a series and things are not going your way. But I thought Ben Stokes handled it very well. He's a fantastic batsman and a fantastic bowler who can take the game away from the opposition with both bat and ball. And now he's showing as a captain he can do it in that department as well. What a player. Another question here from Pia Dushanka. Who would you pick for the Old Trafford Test match for England? Very interesting. They're 2-1 down, so they're still trailing in the series, but they've got a very good record at Old Trafford, if I remember correctly. Generally, it turns there a little bit towards the back end of the series, so I think Moeen Ali just stays in that spot where he is right now. I would be very surprised, actually, if I see a lot of changes. I might think about an extra spinner, depending on the wicket and the conditions, but the way the guys have been playing, Chris Woakes slotting into the team, playing an incredible hand for his team. We've seen Mark Wood really pulling his weight as well. It would be difficult to change the team now unless the conditions tells you you have to play an extra spinner. Other than that, same team for me. The Cricket World Cup qualifiers happened right next to my doorstep in Zimbabwe. It's our neighboring country of South Africa, and I've always really enjoyed traveling there. So I know what the teams went through who played there in the qualifiers, and we've seen some fantastic performances. We know Sri Lanka qualified, but also the Netherlands, who beat 3 test-playing countries in this qualifiers. And what a fantastic performance by this team. Underdogs, no one expected of them to qualify for this World Cup, but they are going. Bas de Leeuw had a fantastic tournament, both with bat and ball. Very aggressive player, up the order, hits the ball really hard, and there's no doubt that he will enjoy the Indian conditions. With that new ball, man, it hits it that hard, he's going to have a good time over there. Looking forward to watching him perform. He played a huge role in getting the Netherlands qualifying for this World Cup. It's a big moment for Netherlands cricket. There's only 10 teams in this World Cup, so for them to qualify means a lot, and I think it's a great step in the right direction. Once they arrive there, different story. It will not be easy. There's big competition, and but what counts in their favour, let me just touch on that. Playing in this World Cup qualifiers, they were missing half the team, starting lineup team. About 5 or 6 consistent starters in the past were not there to start these games. So we're looking forward to them building up their team again. They would have taken a lot of confidence from still qualifying, even though they were missing some players. And then going to that World Cup, I don't think there will be any pressure on them. They're underdogs once again. They're used to playing as the underdogs, and we might see a few upsets. Who knows? Maybe this is the year for one of the associate countries to qualify for the knockouts of the World Cup. Let me take a few more questions. The next one is from Mission Loksewa 309. Interesting username there. I always wonder how people come up with those usernames. Good question nonetheless. Do you think associate nations should get more opportunities? A really good question, and it's not an easy one to answer. I know this year's World Cup, there will be only 10 teams competing there. What I do like about that, and I'm going to give the pros on both sides, what I do like about only 10 teams in the World Cup, it's a shorter tournament, it's strength against strength, and you've got nowhere to hide. I do like that, where if there are too many teams, the tournament gets a bit longer. You can add 20, 30 teams if you want to, but the tournament's ultimately going to end up being 4 or 5 months then. And not as intense, in your face, strength against strength cricket. So, yes, we want more opportunities for associate teams, but I do like the strength versus strength in World Cup cricket. Next question is from Afsar Expedition. Are you following the Bangladesh versus Afghanistan ODI series? I am. I know what's happening, but I haven't watched a lot of the games. I've seen the scores, and I must say I'm not surprised, not completely surprised by the Afghanistan series win. They've been building up some momentum over the years, really showing off their players in this IPL. We've seen Rashid Khan, we've seen Noor Ahmed, we've seen so many Afghanistan players coming through, and it's no surprise to me that they're starting to upset teams. And this one is a big upset. Bangladesh in Bangladesh is no easy feat. They've taken down some really big teams in their home country. And for Afghanistan to go there and win the series is a fantastic effort. And then a quick shout out to Tamim Iqbal, who's retired, or is he? Tamim Iqbal is back. He was retired, he's not retired anymore. Fantastic news for all cricket lovers around the world. I'm not sure why he called it retirement, but it's great to have him back. I've always enjoyed watching Tamim play, up the order, very aggressive with the new ball, and we're going to see a little bit more of Tamim Iqbal. Exciting times. He's not retired. He is back. Next question from Tirth Pandya 255. Selection of Indian T20 international team. Let me just pull up the squad here. And it's a really, really good looking squad this. It shows you that in the IPL, if you perform well, it does not go unnoticed. Some really good names that pop up here. Yashasvi Jaiswal, Tilak Varma, the two youngsters with a bat in hand. They both look very dangerous in the IPL. And it's no surprise for me to see them here. There are no surprises with Surya Kumar Yadav, Sky is there, Sanju Samson, Hardik, Ishan Kishan, Shubman Gill. No surprises there in the batting department. Very good to see Yuzvendra Chahal there. In my opinion, the best leg spinner out there with Kuldeep Yadav. They're going to be difficult to stop. And also Ravi Bishnoi. Really good spinners there. And I think I also saw Akshar Patel's name. So really good spinners. There's no surprises there. What I do like in the pace department is seeing Umran Malik there. Raw pace. He showed in the IPL that the batters jump around when he's bowling. And that whole fast bowling lineup, Mukesh Kumar, Avesh Khan, Arshdeep Singh, around him, there's a bit of skill and that pace from Umran Malik. I think it's a really good team. No Virat Kohli, no Rohit Sharma. I think this is the new look Indian T20 squad. Maybe for the really big series against who knows who or World Cup, we'll see those names again. But I do like the Indian squad being a bit proactive and giving these youngsters a turn to show what their mettle is all about. And then ultimately Virat and Rohit also get some really good rest for that World Cup coming up. Let's talk about something completely different. And not so different, fitness. It affects us all, but different in the sense of Wimbledon, tennis. You guys know that I love tennis. I love Novak Djokovic. It's in the final week of Wimbledon for him. And could he maybe get another major? You know, he's right on top of the list when it comes to major wins in the men's department, and he's lining up for another one. He'll have his work cut out with guys like Alcaraz around, Medvedev, and a few others that are really raring to go. But I think Joko has got what it takes to go all the way. It hasn't always come so easy for him, you know. He's had some diet issues in the past, but he's been prepared to meet up with doctors, change his diet, and ultimately becoming more fit and physically stronger on the court. He had some issues related to asthma, couldn't finish games, and ultimately the greats of the game always find a way to get an extra percent, and so could you. Everyone out there struggling with something related to diet, go and see a doctor and find a way to make yourself a bit better, a bit fitter, a bit physically stronger. And that's something that you could do as well. Go see a doctor, find out if there's something in your diet that you can improve that could ultimately get you stronger physically and mentally fresher. Novak did it. It's in his final week of Wimbledon. I'm a big fan and I can't wait to watch him go all the way in this year's Wimbledon. In other sports, football, English Premier League, you guys know that I love Man United. David De Gea has moved on. He's a great goalkeeper for Man U over the years. He's actually one of those last Premier League champions that we still had left there. So it's a sad day for the Man U supporters. We haven't won that Premier League for quite some time now. But let's hope for a really good season. And wherever De Gea finds himself, all the very best. What a great career at Man U. And thank you for everything. Now that we're talking about football, there's this one incredible clip, one of the best goals I've ever seen that I would love to show you. It's Buckley Town's Ruben Lima that scored in the 89th minute of a preseason friendly. Unfortunately, it's just a friendly, but what a goal, and I hope you enjoy it. You see all the skill there, going to the right, going to the left, to the right, to the left, and then surprising everyone, where everyone thought he would go with his left foot. He did that little switch, crisscross, right foot chip over the goalie. What an incredible goal. He could be proud of that one. Hopefully he gets it done in a knockout game that matters a lot in the future. But a goal is a goal, and you'll take a lot of confidence from that one. In last week's quiz, you saw me celebrating getting 100. I can tell you right now, that was at Headingley in 2008. The man batting with me, and the answer to the quiz from last week was Ashwell Prince. We both scored hundreds. It was a big partnership, a match-changing partnership, and the person who got it right from the Netherlands Cody Moodley. Congratulations. You'll be getting your prize very soon. And now moving on to this week's quiz. You'll see a scoreboard on your screens here. Hashim Amla at the top. And then there's a name missing. 128 of 127 balls. At the bottom there's another Centurion. Obviously, I'm going to share all the scorecards where I get 100. AB de Villiers, 108 of 71 balls. But who's the guy missing there at the top? Opening batsman with Hashim Amla. I can give you some tips maybe. The only tip I'll give you is it looks like some Sri Lankan bowlers there. So good luck with this quiz, guys. I hope you get it. Who's that guy that scored 100 there? Fantastic player. One of my good friends. And I hope you get it right. Music. I love music. I've got my guitar here. I was an absolute nightmare last week. The sound is not great. I'm blaming my team. They're sitting over there in India. Simply not good enough, guys. Come on, we're better than this. I'm kidding. I've always been a very, very average musician, but I love it. I can keep the notes. I can play a little bit of guitar. But we will work on the audio, and I'm hoping to collab with some musicians in the future and give you guys a lot of entertainment, especially some Indian musicians. I know there are quite a few out there that are very talented. I love some of my Indian music, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. I'm coming over to India end of October, and hopefully I'll be meeting up with some musicians over there, and we can play a little bit. This is actually, you guys might not be able to hear it, but it's called of a song called Shallow Waters from Just Ginger. It's a local band in South Africa. It's very difficult to talk. I just found out now to talk while I'm strumming. So I'm just going to talk first. Just Ginger, South African band. Google them. Find a song or two. That's Shallow Waters, one of my favorite songs of all times. But let me take some music questions from you guys. Piyush Sharma says, hi sir. Oh, sorry, this is not a music question. Hi sir, apart from cricket, do you like Indian food? And which have you tried? I love Indian food. I love traveling to India. My first few tours to India was quite tough. My stomach wasn't really used to Indian food, but I very quickly adapted, got used to it, and now it's one of my favorite cuisines in the world. I love my curries, all kinds of curries. I mean, obviously, most of our overseas people love your normal butter chicken with a nice garlic naan. I love dal makhni, the dark or the black lentils. It's one of my favorites. I love a paneer steak. Recently discovered that in the Mumbai hotel. Absolutely fantastic. And then I just love traveling around, seeing places in Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, wherever I go. Went to Virat Kohli's restaurant in Mumbai, and I had a fantastic time there. I thought he did a great job. Let's do another one. Sachin Kumar, Virat Kohli ke bare mein batya. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, but I think some comments on Virat, if I remember correctly with my best Hindi, some comments on Virat. I love the man. He's one of my best friends. I've had some fantastic memories together. He's a great man with a beautiful heart, and I wish him all the very best with the rest of his career. And I can't wait for all the amazing memories that we're going to create together in the future, because life does not stop after cricket, and Virat knows that. And then the last one, Arshpreet Singh 2415. Can you please come out of retirement for World Cup in India? Sorry, this is not the last question. I'm going to take one more after this. I'm not going to come out of retirement, unfortunately. You see, I'm playing guitar now. I have to entertain you people with some beautiful music and some nonsense that I talk on this channel. So unfortunately not for me, but you will see me in India. I will be coming over a lot and traveling the world, to the UK, to Australia, hopefully soon again. I love the game of cricket and I'll always be involved with it. And then last but not least, does Travis Head look like AB? Jagveer Chahar. I don't know if Travis Head looks like me. He played with me in RCB and no one ever mentioned that to me. Why now? Why do I have to deal with that now? Anyway, that's enough for the 360 show this week. I'll catch you guys next week.